Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for the HouseSit Hangout. Today we are still in the COVID crisis. It's May 2020. And I just want to introduce our members today. We have Kelly, Ali, Amy, and Julie, who have joined us today. Perhaps you could go around and introduce yourselves. Julie, do you want to kick off and tell us about yourself?
Sure, yeah. Well, my name's Julie Bryant, and I've been house sitting for, well, a few years now. I house sat for about 3 or 4 years full time until discovering the beautiful Sitges in Spain, where I've put down roots over the last 18 months or so. But I do still house sit, and so I spend my time at the moment, well, I say at the moment, and pre-COVID, I was spending my time based partly here in Spain, partly in the UK. I still have projects going on in the UK, and also doing some house sitting across Europe. So a nice, interesting balance, or that's how it was, but not now.
We'll tell us more about that later. Thank you, Julie. Ali and Amy, do you want to tell us about yourselves?
I'll go first. Hey, my name's Amy. I'm an ODP. I work in anaesthetics. I'm really looking forward to getting into house sitting. It's something we haven't done before. So it's something that we're looking to start moving forward and having a go at.
And I'm Ali, I'm Amy's partner, and we live in South Wales in the UK. We've done a little bit of house sitting for friends before, nothing too formal, a few years back now. And because we've got plans to travel in the future, hopefully at the end, towards the very end of this year, depending on COVID, we figured that house sitting might be a nice way to meet new people and see different parts of Europe that we wouldn't normally see. So nice to be here.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us today. And Kelly, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kelly Hayes-Raitt. I'm an American who's locked down in London. I've been house sitting and traveling full time for the last 10 years. I've written, can I do this, Lamia?
Yep, absolutely.
How to Become a House Sitter, Insider Tips for a House Sit Diva.
Great read, yes. Highly recommended, Ali and Amy.
And I've house sat really throughout the world, but a couple of highlights were I house sat in Hanoi, where I met Julie in real life for the first time. She came to visit me at a house sit in Mexico, and we connected when I was house sitting in London one time, a couple of times, and we've gone to Bath and Cardiff together, and she's invited me down to Sitges. So house sitting has been just not a way for me to travel and provide pet owners with an opportunity to travel safely and confidently, which is something that I really appreciate. But house sitting has really just brought me some fantastic friendships, Lamia and Julie. So.
Great. Well, it's I have to say, it's a lovely community, Ali and Amy. I'm sure you're going to enjoy the people you meet. It's there people who take part in house sitting are by nature, I think, collaborative. And, you know, it's kind of they're more open to sort of conversations and, you know, kind of an open dialogue about not just the pets and the places they've been to, but just life in general. So really a nice bunch of people, I have to say. So I'm sure you'll enjoy it. You'll fit in well. So now I know that people had various questions about house sitting and what they're doing now and this particular time. Perhaps we could start with your question, Ali and Amy, about starting off as house sitters. What specific elements would you like advice on? You have some great people here who are very experienced.
Yes, there's a couple of things really. The first one being, obviously we're new to the HouseSit Match website, so keen to know from you all how you go about setting up a profile that's going to be attractive, you know, to various house owners in the future. And the other one was kind of any advice for your first ever house sit, things to do, things not to do from your own experiences.
Sure. Well, I mean, in terms of the logistics of setting up the HouseSit Match profile, I can send you a link to a video and then we can go through specific details. But perhaps Julie and Kelly can talk about, you know, what content, you know, attracts a homeowner, because they'll have done it time and time and time again, and they may even adapt it. So let me hand it over to you. I don't know who wants to pick this one up, Julie or Kelly or both.
Why don't you go first?
I would say that be as authentic as you possibly can. And because when people are reading lots of profiles, I think people are very kind of clued in, and they can pick up really, really quickly if someone is authentic or not. So just be totally honest, and you know, don't pretend that you've done something that you haven't, and also don't perhaps try to be all things to all people. Because it's very easy, especially when you first start off and you're trying to get your first gigs, to say, yes, I can do that. And you say yes to everything. Whereas really you can feel your heart dropping, saying, actually, I really don't like parrots, or fish do not float my boat. And it's the last thing I want to do is to be cleaning out fish tanks. And it's so easy to just say yes to everything and then get yourself in a situation where it's really not working for you. And if it's not working for you, it doesn't really work for the house owner. And those kind of situations can backfire. So I know people talk a lot about niching, but for me, it's more about being totally honest with yourself about what it is you are prepared to do and what you're not prepared to do, and stick with that. So don't say yes to anything that doesn't make your heart sing.
Yeah, I absolutely underscore that advice. Be authentic, know your limits, and be honest about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to tag on that and just say that if you think about the relationship between the house sitter and the homeowner as being the most important part of this whole interaction, even though you're not physically together a lot, because you might meet the first night before the homeowners leave, and then you might not see them again for the duration. But that really is the crux of the whole thing. So your profile is the very first opportunity to create that relationship. So you want to be honest, you want to be open, you want to be asking good questions once you move to a Skype interview or a Zoom interview, asking questions about what the needs are so that you're really clear about the expectations and you feel comfortable and confident in meeting those expectations. I know when I've gotten into trouble house sitting, it's because I've gotten in over my head in a location that was just not really suited for me, or pet care that was a little bit more than what I really was prepared to do. And I did it, and I did it fine, but I learned from those experiences. And what I learned is to just be really upfront about what I'm capable of. So that can be portrayed in your profile, not in a negative, but in a positive way, right? Like by talking about the kinds of things you want to do and what you feel really confident doing. And, Amy, your medical training is certainly something you'd want to mention and highlight, because that's very unique. I put in my profile that I've been to Iraq as a reporter. And the reason that has no bearing on house sitting, but I think it says a lot about me and it makes me stand out from the crowd. There's a lot more house sitters out there than there are homeowners. So I always advise people to put something in your profile that will make you stand out from that stack that people are going through. Obviously, you want to check it for grammar and typos. That should not, we don't have to say that, but we do, right? Because you want to portray yourself as somebody who's paying attention to details, and pick photos of yourself with animals. Okay. This is not, a time to put out your high school or college graduation party photos, right? It's a job interview.
I think they're all really good tips. I'm certainly happy to review your profile and help to add to it if you like, to draw out what I think is probably the leading features you should promote. In terms of being authentic and being as descriptive as possible, to address both your points, Julie and Kelly, I was applying for a house sit in France. It was rural France. I happen to love France. So wherever it is, I'll go, basically. And I was going to look after 4 dogs and 12 hens and 2 cockerels. And I have to say, I'd never looked after hens or cockerels before. So I was completely honest with the woman. I said, look, dogs are absolutely fine. I've looked after 4 dogs before on my own. It's not a problem. Love France. I can speak French, so I fit in anywhere, but I really don't know about the hens. And she said, no problem. Come 2 days early. We'll spend time together. I'll show you everything. And you know what? She did. And we had such a giggle and such a good time. But actually, she came home from her holiday a couple of days early so we could spend more time together.
Oh, sweet.
So just be yourself and just be open about it, and just admit when you have a little reservation, and there'll be a way around it, possibly. But at least you'll be open about it.
Well, what's a cockerel?
Cockerel is a
noisy version of a hen.
It's a male, male bird.
Obviously, this is not a house sit I would have applied.
Actually, the bonus was that the neighbor was a chef. So,
Oh, wow.
lots of evenings round with wine sampling. It was really fun. So be yourself is exactly right. And ask questions. That's another challenge there.
Yeah.
And then there was another part to your question.
It was, well, I think it's kind of been answered really. It was like the profile, how do you make it look, you know, like something someone's going to want to pick, and then the kind of first time, you know, your first house sit, any do's and don'ts. So yeah, I think it's kind of been answered.
Okay, good.
It's just trying to get the first house sit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess what you're saying is, you know,
Make your
stand out from the
profile as,
crowd and be authentic. I think is really important. You know, we're not the kind of people to, you know, make things up or big ourselves up to be something that we're not. And it's going to be exciting. I think, looking forward to it.
Good. It sounds, well, it's exciting. It is exciting starting something new like this. It's always fun. Great. And so, Kelly, your question about what technology do people use today, whether they're house sitting, communicating with people, or if they're working. So what devices does everyone use? Should we just, so Julie, when you work, I know you work as you travel.
Yes.
So do you take a number of devices with you and use particular platforms in order to be able to communicate?
I take, what do I travel with? I've got a MacBook Pro, which if I was starting off again, I would actually get a lightweight one. It's about 2.5 kilos, I think. It's an older one. But you know, it's an oldie but goodie, so I'm traveling around with that. If you're just traveling with hand luggage, it's be a bit more challenging with that kind of weight. But anyway, I have my laptop, I've got my mobile phone. What else do I travel with? A laptop, mobile phone. I've actually got an external speaker as well, which I don't always travel with, but I've got that at the moment. And charger, what's it called, battery pack charger that you have as an extra. That's probably my main, my main technology. And in terms of communication, WhatsApp is probably my favorite, certainly on a one-to-one basis with people, and it's free, of course. And then for groups, Zoom has become, I don't use Skype these days at all. Occasionally FaceTime, but my preference is probably Zoom.
Okay, cool. And Kelly, you I know you work online, you teach online, you edit books online. What do you use? What do you travel with as well?
I have a MacBook Air, which is the lighter version of what Julie just mentioned, and it is lightweight, Julie. It's great. You're going to love it when you get one. My iPhone is like everything to me. That's pretty much it. I've really pared down what I carry, not just because of the luggage constraints and all of that, but you know, I've had 2 laptops stolen from house sits. So, you know, over 10 years, and it's just, you know, devastating. It's just not worth it for me to carry extra stuff around, because it just makes me a bigger target, particularly in some of the third world countries where I house sit. So I've really pared that down. That said, I'm trying to expand my repertoire of apps that I use and trying to figure that out. So I was kind of hoping to get some ideas here. I use WhatsApp for communication with the homeowners, because it's really a great way to just take a photo of the pet or video and send it to them, and I can tell when it's red, which I really like about WhatsApp. You know, you get the 2 little blue arrows there that tells when it was red, so that's great. I'm just learning Zoom, so it's looking like it's going to be a pretty solid thing in my future. I do still use Skype, because I have it's a cheap way, it's a free way for me to call to the US from anywhere in the world, or to receive calls from the US for anywhere in the world. So for me, that's about being able to reach my mom, who that's the only thing she uses is her phone, her landline telephone, but also just business stuff, you know, calling my bank, calling my credit card, you know, those kinds of things. I can do that from Skype. On my cell phone, I've got some more apps that I've been playing with. I use Today's Tickets and another daily theater program for London, so that I can find discounted tickets and really take advantage of when I'm here house sitting, and I can change the cities on that based on where I'm house sitting. So, and I do Groupon in some of the major cities where I go to. So I get different opportunities to learn about some of the cultural things or restaurants or things like that at a discount, which is really nice. So, but I'm looking for more thoughts and options.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So Ali and Amy, have you thought about what you might take with you in terms of communication devices, but also what platforms you prefer?
Yeah, a little bit, because we have done a little bit of travelling in the camper van already, so we've taken various bits with us. We too, similar to Kelly, we've got a MacBook Air. So we upgraded my very old MacBook, which I think was about 10 years old. So it probably weighed about 4 kilos, I think. It was really old school style. So treated ourselves to a MacBook Air, which highly recommend, very lightweight, as Kelly's already said. We've both got our mobile phones. Yeah, we use WhatsApp. I'm fairly new to Zoom as well, or we're fairly new to Zoom. I've been a user of Skype fairly regularly. I use it daily for business now. With probation, we're having daily Skype briefings because we're all spread out, working from home or the office or out in the community. So I guess that we'll keep using that, and I guess Zoom is going to become more popular. We've also got this mobile Wi-Fi device. You're probably familiar with those, which is it's 4G from one of the mobile phone companies in the UK. You can plug it in as well for a little USB charger. So at the moment, that kind of offer is about £9 a month, and I think it's unlimited. Yeah. Oh no, 20 gigabytes it is at the moment. But I think as we start to travel more, we'll probably upgrade it for a little bit more to go unlimited mobile Wi-Fi, and it works across Europe. So that's been a good little investment that we've been trialing over the past year or so. So we'll definitely take that with us. Any other?
Got my Kindle.
Yeah, Amy's got a Kindle.
I'm massively into reading, and obviously we can't read books, so my Kindle is kind of offers me everything. I've got the book option, the internet, Skype, everything kind of all in one little place together, and it's small.
Yeah.
Will you be travelling in your van though, ladies?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, so you'll be able to take more stuff then, really, because you have.
Yeah, and we've got our own dog as well, which I don't know if that would put homeowners off, or I guess it depends on the dynamics of if they've got pets. If they haven't got pets, how does another dog fit into that? So we've got she's actually on the floor sleeping, so you can't meet her. But yeah, we've got a border collie. She's 12 years old, and yeah, she'd be coming with us as well. So yeah.
I think some homeowners are happy to have a single dog or a single cat. Of course, it depends what setup they have, as you said. But always check, but also make sure that you put pictures and describe your dog. We have a regular house sitter with us, Michelle McDines, who always travels with her dog, and we found her a couple of house sits this year actually. So it is possible. But you need to be open about it and really careful. And she has, in fact, I'll send you a link to her video because she describes exactly how she acclimatizes herself and the dog to the new environment so that it's a careful introduction to the hosts and their pets. It's actually quite handy. So I'll send that to you.
Great, thank you.
Lamia, what do you use? Do you have any experience using a VPN?
Well, when I first started traveling, I used to carry everything with me, literally. I used to have a huge luggable laptop because I knew it was absolutely solid and dependable. I used to carry all the wires I needed to plug into somebody's walls. I used to have connectors, adapters. I used to bring a small little laptop as well, just in case the big one didn't work, or I never had to use that. I used to carry 2 mobile phones, now I only carry 1, and I've got 1 very small HP laptop, which is brilliant. So actually now I've stripped right down. Everything's in the cloud, of course, which has really helped enormously. I used to carry also a little portable server, so like a portable hard drive, just because I needed everything with me, even though I had people working with me all around the world. But I just needed to know I could access what I needed. But now everything's in the cloud. I carry my little HP laptop and I have an iPhone 6. And that's pretty much it. I can tap into whatever I need. Now, insurance, that's another question I need to ask you, because I've always insured my laptop and my mobile phone just because I need to have access to a replacement instantly should I lose one. I know, Kelly, you recently had a burglary and you lost a lot of equipment. Were you insured? Were you able to claim on insurance? Is that possible as a house sitter? What do you do?
Well, it was a pretty remarkable experience because the home that I was living in Mexico was not insured. So, and the homeowners had no insurance at all to cover any of the contents or really anything. I had just about a few months before that purchased a World Nomads insurance policy, mainly because I wanted something to cover me for catastrophic health care. So you know, if I get hit by a bus or something, you know, I want to have some coverage. And they do have in that insurance policy a rider for lost luggage and anything that's stolen if you're traveling more than, I think it's 150 miles from your home base, which I was. And so I thought, well, all right, I'll put in a claim. Let me just try. And so I put in a claim for my lost jewelry and my laptop, and was very surprised that I got $600. Little over $600. So, I mean, what I lost dollar-wise was much more than that. And they have limits on how much they'll pay per incident and per item. So I hit that max, you know, however that formula was created. But I don't get any money if you buy World Nomads, everybody out there. I'm not an affiliate. It's just my experience, and it was a good experience. So it was well worth it.
At least it's something, isn't it? It's something tangible to help you out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, paid for, you know, a good half of the cost of the replacement of the laptop.
Mm.
You know,
Can you just clarify with your insurance though, Kelly? This is a traveler's insurance policy. As far as I know, there's no such thing as a house sitter's travel policy.
No,
it's just a purely, because I had my travel insurance with Nationwide, which might be of interest to you girls. That was the cheapest one that I could find that would cover me for any length of time per trip. So the maximum length, I think World Nomads is different. I think, because you said you can get a 12-month policy, but it's a lot more expensive. The Nationwide one, you could have one trip up to the length of 6 months, which is still quite a long time, especially if, it depends whether you're planning to come back to the UK, you know, after 6 months. If you're gone for 12 months, sorry?
Do you have to be a UK resident for that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
For the Nationwide one, you have to have a Nationwide account as well.
Okay. Oh,
that's the only thing. But it was by far the cheapest that I could find.
And are the two, do you have to be a resident and have an account, or can you just have an account?
Good question.
It might be worth finding out, actually.
I don't know. But
because sometimes they can be separated.
Well, obviously you get your standard one that comes with the account, which is what your normal. How much does that cover? Is it a month? I don't know. How much is the standard policy for that comes with your account? The length of trip. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, it's a small amount, but so I just wanted to extend it to the longest possible time, which was 6 months.
Does that also
Sorry?
Does it also cover health issues?
Yes.
Oh, all right. I'm going to look into that, because I can just open up an account. World Nomads wasn't too expensive. You have to renew it every 4 months, and it's like $500 for 4 months.
Right.
That's not bad, considering the range of cover.
This was about £270 for the year. And you could do two trips up to 180 days within that. But you'd have to come back to the UK. Well, you could come back after the 180 days. It just means that post 180 days, you wouldn't be covered for whatever that was. But in order for the next 180 days to start, you have to come back for a visit to the UK. And then when you leave again, that starts the clock ticking for the next 180 days.
Okay.
Right. That's actually really useful to know. So Ali and Amy, it might be worth thinking about that, because I know camper vans are super handy and really, really helpful when you are traveling across the continent. But of course, you are also vulnerable in some ways if you're not on the property, if the property is sort of more exposed or in the center of town. So it is worth thinking about the insurance aspect. A couple of our members also travel in camper vans on a regular basis. I should find out actually what insurance they have and let you know.
Yeah, that'd be useful. I mean, we're part of some camper van groups on Facebook, and I often see people post about getting insurance for a longer period of time. And I think there's lots of different solutions, but it also depends where you want to travel to as well. So yeah, any info you can throw our way would be really good. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, the Nationwide one was worldwide. It wasn't just Europe.
Oh wow, that's great.
Including the US, which is good.
Sorry, Lamia, you mentioned the cloud software that you use. How did you end up deciding on, a package, and how much information can you store on the package that you've got?
Well, I use the Apple Cloud, and actually it upgrades automatically when you reach a limit. Okay. So it's super convenient for that. It just means you're not negotiating every time. And I mean, for the website, of course, we use a different platform, and it's a whole separate operation. This is just for my operating on my laptop. So I use the Apple Cloud, and it's not a lot of money, to be honest. And we have a lot of images that we access.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're talking sort of tens of pounds a month rather than hundreds.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to insurance for a second, because another important consideration is car insurance. So, you know, because I drive in Mexico, I drive my own car and I insure it. But most of the places where I house sit, if it's a more rural or out of city area, I use the homeowner's car. And so it's always important to figure out how the insurance works on that, because that's different, of course, from country to country. You have your camper van, but you know, there may be a situation where you would want to use the homeowner's car to take an animal to the vet, for example, because that might be faster. So that's an important part of the conversation you want to have too.
Okay, good to know.
It's a very good tip, actually. In fact, I need to add that to our HouseSit guidelines. We have a document when you come to making an arrangement. There's a house sitting agreement template. There's a formal one, which is written by lawyers for several countries. There is an informal one that's really just an agreement between you and the owner, just topping and tailing the agreement with dates and requirements and responsibilities. But there's also, like, the book of the house, the HouseSit guidelines, where we go through all these sort of steps of information that you would need to know. You know, how does this work? How does that work? What day the bins go out? Where, you know, does the dog have medicine? What's the routine? All of that stuff is in this document. But I need to add that, actually. That's a very good point.
Can I toss in a couple of other things that I've recently had in mind as well? Disclosure of security systems and nanny cams.
Yes, that's quite topical these days. Yes.
Very topical. Yeah. So I actually have that in my agreement that and I don't put it in a way that says, you know, I'm worried that you're spying on me. It's more, please disclose security systems and nanny cams. And then most recent one I'm putting in is, please disclose any weapons that you have in the house.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the house that I was just in Mexico, a gun was stolen that I didn't know was there in a nightstand bedroom I didn't go into. So had I walked in on these robbers, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. So it's, you know, I think it's an important consideration. Of course, you Brits wouldn't think about that because you don't have a gun culture like we do in the United States. And these were Americans I was house sitting for. But I think it's an important consideration. You know, it's an important thing to ask, so that you're aware.
That's a very, very cultural issue, really.
Yes, I know.
I think I have to phrase that one, but yes, they're both really good points. Thank you.
Yeah. I guess following on from that about the weapons, you know, Amy's mum has a farmhouse and they have rifles from, you know, just because they do, because they're farmers, and I guess that may apply to other rural house sits, even in the UK.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, in the UK, of course, we have so many rules and regulations about how you keep them, where you keep them, you know, the storage, the lockups, and so on. They have to be so many feet or meters from, you know, door and all this business. So listen, but yes, no, it's good. It's good to understand how all that works. Sorry.
Another question. Yeah, this is something that we don't talk about much as house sitters, but it's something that I always ask in my Skype interview, and I have it in my agreement as well. Is I ask the homeowners whether or not they want to be contacted if their pet dies. Now, that's a really hard thing to bring up in a conversation, right? And so the way I couch it is this, as I tell them about an experience that I had when I was much younger, before I was house sitting, taking care of a neighbor's cat who was an indoor and outdoor cat and got into poison. And I came home one day and there was a note on her door from poison control saying that her cat had been, you know, gotten into some poison somewhere. I didn't think twice. I called her at where she was visiting her boyfriend and left a message for her. And she was furious with me that I ruined her time with her boyfriend over something she couldn't do anything about. Now, if it were my cat, I'd want to know right away. So I responded the way I thought everybody else would want to know. But since I've asked that question, I've gotten some very interesting answers. I've had answers from people who've said, look, you know, if we can't do anything about it, then wait till we get home. I've had people say, yes, we want to know, but we want you to wait until after our wedding and then let us know. So, you know, I've decided that I don't want to make that, I don't want to assume anything about anybody, right? So I want them to be empowered about, you know, you tell me how you want me to react here if the worst were to happen. And it's very interesting because it opens up a different kind of a vibe in the conversation. I notice that it always shifts when I get to that question, because usually the homeowner will then recognize the really, truly huge responsibility I'm taking on to come into the home and do this. And it just kind of, it subtly shifts that relationship and makes it more of a bonding kind of thing. So I bring it up in the conversation, and I also have it in my agreement.
I think that's a really good point. We have had a few homeowners approach me and say, look, the dog is on its last legs. You know, it could go any day. Do you think anyone would be willing to take on the house sit? And actually, we've had people who said, no, I can't deal with that. You know, if push comes to shove, I just can't deal with it. But we've had people who say, no, I'll deal with it as long as they're, you know, tell me what they want me to do. There was one young chap who was actually a friend of my son's who was house sitting in London for a family where the dog was on its last legs, and predictably the dog did pass away, sadly. But he didn't have a car, they didn't have a car. He had to carry the dog on the tube to the vets. You know, he went to great lengths to make sure that everything was done as required. And they were immensely grateful afterwards. But it's not everyone who is happy or keen to do whatever it is, whatever it takes, really, to deal with that end of life situation. So I think it's a very good point, Kelly, really good point.
Yeah, thank you. No, it is a challenging one. I took care of a cat that was definitely on its last legs, and it was my job to keep it alive until the homeowner came home. It was, I mean, the vet and I were in daily contact. The vet was fantastic. And in the end, sorry?
Were you doing CPR?
No. But it was, the cat had bowel obstruction issues. So, you know, and the poor thing was, it was just really hard. I mean, he would sleep at me at night and urinate in the bed, and, you know, several times. And it was really difficult. So in the end, I did have to take the cat into the vet so that the cat could be fed intravenously, because it wasn't eating, in order to keep it alive until the homeowner came home. But, you know, I'm not sure if that's something I would do again, because it took a huge toll on me, and I didn't really realize it until I got to the airport as I was leaving, and I started crying over my cup of coffee as I was sitting in the airport. You know, it was really dramatic and difficult to try to balance all that. So, Lamia, you're right in terms of like making sure that conversation is very clear about what the homeowners want and how it's all to be taken care of. And, you know, your son's friend having to carry the dead dog on the tube. I mean, that's, oh my God, that's terrible. They didn't leave a car, you know. Yeah.
But it's, so, you know, think carefully before you take on the job, but I'm sure you would anyway. Yeah. Okay, well, actually, they're really interesting points we've raised today. I mean, the kind of difficult situations that people have had to go through. We've talked about robbery, we've talked about insurance, we've talked about, you know, dead pets, sadly. Yeah.
So let me tell you about some of the great things.
Yes. Let's moving swiftly on to, you know, the fabulous things about house sitting and why you're bound to enjoy it, Ali and Amy. You do get to spend time in people's homes. You make some fantastic friends. I mean, I have made really, lifetime friends. You know, some of the homeowners I've met, I just thought, gosh, you know, why didn't we before? You know, it's really, really it's really good friends. So, I mean, that's a real plus. You get to visit some fabulous places. Kelly has been to the most extraordinary list of countries. You should tell us a quick list, Kelly.
Mozambique, Senegal, Malawi, Réunion, which is a French island near Madagascar, Hanoi, Singapore, Malaysia, several places in Malaysia, a lot of places around Europe, Gibraltar, Berlin, Paris. Yan, China, I think was probably the most unusual one, which was a small Chinese village where I was the only non-Asian face I saw for a week. I was like a celebrity there. It was really fun. People come up and put their babies in my arm and take pictures, and it was really a lot of fun. So yeah, I've had a chance to go to places that I wouldn't have even known to go to, frankly, just because it was, you know, there and I had the opportunity to. But what I really like about house sitting is just the opportunity to live like a local.
Yeah.
And it for me, that takes pressure off of needing to be a tourist all the time. You know, like when you're staying in a hotel, you kind of have to justify the expense and go out and be a tourist all day. Mm-hmm. When I'm in somebody's home, I can relax, I can get my work done, I can visit all the wonderful places and things that I want to do as a local would. And I like that more relaxed, slower type of travel. It's more authentic, to use Julie's word. It's more authentic for me, and I really like that.
And Julie, what's your favorite thing about house sitting?
I love variety, and you certainly get a huge variety with the house sitting. You know, you stay in some amazing places. I stayed in one fabulous house in Singapore once for 3 weeks, I think the house sit was, and the place was huge. It even had its own built-in lift.
Wow.
Not that the owners used it as a lift, other than to put their suitcases up and downstairs. They didn't actually go in it themselves. But what was even more exciting from my point of view with this particular house is because I chef, and this house had 2 kitchens because she was a professional chef. So I was in my element, running around tying out all these new gadgets and the 2 kitchens. Mind you, could never find anything because it was spread out in so many different places. But that was amazing, that house, you know, the swimming pool and 2 gorgeous dogs, and that's probably the poshest one I've ever sat at. And then you've got the 2 extremes, you know, and then you've got tiny little places that you stay. Outskirts of villages, up a mountain, you know, 5,000 feet up a mountain.
Your proper Welsh accent came out then.
Sorry, love?
Your Welsh accents came out then.
Oh, it does come out, probably because I'm talking to you girls. It's that connection with Wales, yeah. So yeah, it's a huge variety, and as Lamia says, you meet lots of great people and you make friendships. It's also quite nice. Probably won't affect you girls quite so much, but as a single sitter, sometimes it's nice to buddy up. Mm-hmm. I've got, you know, house sitting friends, single friends, who occasionally I buddy up with, and that's nice actually. It also means that you can take on perhaps slightly bigger house sits, you know, with more animals that maybe would be too much for one person. And my friend and I have also started to offer extra services. We're both chefs actually, so if people want their freezers filled, home organization, that kind of thing. So if you do have skills and experience that you like to share with other people, you know, it's worth putting it out there and say, you know, if you want to ask us to do this, this and this, it's an additional service.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's slightly going outside perhaps the standard house sitter remit, but hey, these days with everything changing so rapidly, you know, it's good to be able to offer something extra. So,
that's really smart, Julie.
Sorry?
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fill your freezer service while you're away, kind of thing. Yeah, with healthy foods and, you know, home health checks, that sort of thing, because I'm really passionate about, you know, natural healing and good foods, etc.
Well, I think in these days, actually, sort of giving the house an extra clean before the homeowner gets back is going to be quite appealing, isn't it?
Yeah, so home organisation, you know, some people don't know where to start. You know, you can offer to sort out the kitchen or the study or something. Even a bit of decorating, perhaps, while I'm away.
But
Well, yes,
stress that you would do that only in conjunction with the homeowner when they wanted that.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to homeowners who, and this happened to me one time when I had a house sitter come to my house in Santa Monica, California to house sit. I came back, my furniture was all rearranged. I was livid.
Oh, well, no, you'd have to agree it in advance.
When I asked her about it, she said, "Oh, I feng shuied it." I'm like, you know, I just spent my whole first day rearranging putting my furniture back. I was furious. So I think, you know, it's an important thing to, you know, to recognize that you don't want to clean beyond what you're left with.
That's very true, actually, because I did do a buddy sit in Turkey a couple of summers ago, and the house was, let's just say, much less than clean, and neither my friend nor I wanted to use most of the rooms in the house. It was that bad, so we had to clean it just to feel comfortable in that space, because it was, you know, we closed off other rooms obviously, but the main living space that we had to use, we did clean, because it was just totally and utterly unhygienic, and the homeowner was furious when she got back. She took it as a personal criticism. But it was a really difficult situation, because for our own health and well-being, we couldn't live with it as it was. So it was a really, really awkward one, but no, she wasn't at all happy. She said that her house never looked so clean. Sorry, Lamia?
You do need to agree with the homeowner.
Well, we couldn't have agreed that in advance, because we didn't know what hole it was till we got there.
Kelly, are you, is Santa Monica your original home then?
It's where I've lived for the last 30 years, and I just sold my house there. But for the last 10 years, I was renting it out as a vacation rental. And then I'd go home and I'd be there periodically. And sometimes I'd need a sitter to come in if I didn't have any vacation rentals in there, beside a cat. So, so I've had a chance to see house sitting kind of from both angles, which I think has made me a little bit of a better house sitter as well, because I kind of know what, from that personal experience, I have a sense of what homeowners are looking for. Yeah, I'm totally untethered now. I'm locked down in London. I was intending to spend this spring traveling around Europe looking for a new permanent home, new permanent roots, but I'm okay. I'm enjoying where I am. It's beautiful, sunny. I get out to walk. It's great.
Yeah. The reason I ask is that my late uncle lived in Santa Monica, so I've visited there a couple of times and loved the place. He lived on Ocean Avenue, and one of my cousins still lives out there, so it's a special place for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's fantastic. Yeah, I lived on Ocean Park Boulevard, which is perpendicular to the ocean, to Ocean Avenue.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Very nice place.
The world is getting smaller and smaller, Lamia.
It is indeed, and we will shrink it even more as soon as house sitting opens up again. Ladies, just one more question for everybody. This is a remarkable time. The COVID crisis is affecting everybody that I know, certainly. Give me just 1 or 2 points about where you are now, where you want to be in the next month, let's say. Hopefully in the next month, we'll be able to see a route out of this for everybody. So if we just go around the table, to everybody just give me 1 or 2 points about where you are now and where you hope to be in a month's time. Who wants to start? Oh gosh, yes.
So I just said I'm in London. I am in a really lovely 3rd floor loft that was provided by the couple that I was supposed to house sit for 2 weeks at the end of March. When they canceled their trip to Spain, they offered me this loft, and so I've been here basically for free. They've been absolutely wonderful. It's a self-contained loft, and I love it so much, and I love them so much that I've decided to pay rent and stay here for a little while longer until things settle down. So for the foreseeable future, I'm in this really beautiful place.
Well, good for you. So you found a happy landing.
I did.
Excellent. And Ali and Amy, I mean, you're busy right now by the sounds of it. You're key workers. What are you doing now in COVID? Tell us quickly, and then what do you think you'll be doing in a month?
I personally don't think, for me or for us, in a month anything will change. I think where we are in Wales, we're still trying to deal with it. So I don't think a month will be enough time. If you looked at it 2-3 months, I'm hoping to be on the road, somewhere through Europe, enjoying the summer, hopefully watching some sport along the way as well.
Yeah, I think in terms of a month's time, if lockdown restrictions are lifted a little bit, then I'd love to think that we can take the van up to the Brecon Beacons and enjoy a long weekend and just get away from our kind of local environment, and kind of further down the line, just have a little bit of a holiday before we get into our longer term plan to travel further afield then. But I think we're both quite optimistic at the moment, but also there's that level of we still want our safety and security, so that's in the back of our minds as well.
Great, thank you. Julie?
Well, at the moment, I'm still in lockdown here in Spain, and I've already moved 3 times during this lockdown, and I'm moving again on the 20th of May, but I don't know where I'm moving to. So in terms of what I want for the next month will be some kind of stability, certainly for the next few weeks, while I have some space to decide where I want to officially base myself. Once lockdown is lifted, do I want to be officially based in Spain? Do I want to come back to the UK and be based in the UK and travel from the UK again? So I've got some major decisions to make, really. And I'm sitting with them, but I'm going to have to certainly make some decisions over the next few weeks very rapidly. And at the moment, there aren't that many choices in front of me so to choose from, I mean. So I feel like I'm under a lot of pressure right now. So I can't think too much further ahead because I'm more concerned about where I'm going to sleep as of the 20th of May. So that's my priority for now.
So it sounds like COVID has caught you slightly on the hop here as you
say
were
that.
between places. Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wish you lots of luck with that. Please keep us in the loop.
Mm.
As far as myself, I mean, I'm living in the southeast of England. I live in Buckinghamshire. It's we've got police patrolling our streets, even though it's a very quiet sort of market town neighbourhood. And you know, people are being fined £60 here and there. We're hoping that things will ease a little bit, but my guess is we've probably got 2-3 weeks before they ease anything at all. But we'll see. Looking forward to the roadmap being published on Sunday. I'm hoping that in maybe 2 or 3 months, more people will start posting house sits for the end of the year, maybe next year. People have started, but it's quite slow. So I'm optimistic, trying to keep communications going for HouseSit Match, keen for people to tell others about us so that, you know, people remember us when it's time to start traveling again. But for today, thank you all so much. It's been a really interesting, informative conversation. I really appreciate your time. And if anyone has any questions afterwards, please do get in touch.
Thank you. It's
Thank you very much. Stay safe.
So much.
Meet you all.
Yeah, it's lovely to meet you all too. And Lamia, thank you for doing this. You're so committed to our house sitting community, and you know, through your e-newsletter and your posts on Facebook and everything. It's just really, really heartwarming, and I want to thank you for that.
Yeah,
thank you all for taking part, because we are the sum of our parts, I think, greater than the sum of our parts. So thank you, because you make it the community.
Yeah, and good luck, girls. You're going to love it.
Thanks very
We'll
much.
see you again, no doubt.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Thank you for what
ladies.
you're doing.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Bye.